what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. This is the quote from Napoleon Hill that opens our video. But today I want you to pay attention to something counterintuitive. What if this constant push to demand more from yourself, especially after 35 years, isn't leading you to success, but gradually destroying your life? Have you ever felt exhausted? Not because you lack strength, but because you no longer know if you're running in the right direction. That's exactly where the trap begins. Now we will dive into the 6 key points that Napoleon Hill would help us see in a completely different way, changing our perspective. Many people believe that continuing to endure, even when everything seems wrong, is a sign of strength. The truth is, however, that there is a huge difference between persistence and purpose. Blind persistence can become accumulated suffering, and after 35 years, this weighs more because you already carry family responsibilities, financial commitments, and external expectations. How many times have you thought, "I've invested so much time, endured so much, I can't just stop now"? It seems logical, but continuing without clarity is not courage, it is confusion. And this is the central point. Without purpose, any resistance becomes wear. Napoleon Hill always emphasized that the human mind needs a clear goal to give meaning to the struggle. When you have clarity of purpose, effort gains new meaning. Every pain becomes training, every stumble a lesson, every delay part of the process. Without direction, every difficulty feels like the end of the world. Science confirms this. Psychology research shows that those who align effort with purpose live longer, handle anxiety better, and reduce the risk of depression. It's as if clarity of purpose acts as an invisible energy that transforms the weight of effort into fuel for progress. Think, are you really running towards something meaningful, or just fleeing the fear of stopping? After 35, many stop asking themselves about their purpose and switch to automatic endure mode. But to what extent is pushing blindly without knowing why exactly what's destroying you? It's like rowing without a compass in the middle of the sea. You expend energy, get exhausted, yet remain in the same place. Life traps the soul this way. Napoleon Hill experienced this firsthand. During the Great Depression, he almost gave up his writing career, having gone through bankruptcies, crises, and indifference from the public. But then Franklin Delano Roosevelt called him to contribute to a historic speech where it was said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Hill realized his true purpose: to help people overcome the fear that paralyzed them. This recovery of purpose not only saved his career, but also reignited within him the flame to create his most impactful work. And this is something you need to reflect on today. When you wake up every day to face work, bills, and challenges, do you really know why you are enduring? What is the deeper purpose behind so much effort? Or are you just running on autopilot, afraid that if you stop, you will discover that you spent half your life climbing a ladder, leaning against the wrong wall? The difference between destroying yourself and strengthening yourself lies exactly here. Persisting without direction can break you, while persisting with purpose can transform you. That is why I leave you with a challenge. Today, yes, today, sit down with a paper and a pen and write what the central purpose of your life is at this moment. It does not need to be perfect or final, but it must be true. Without this answer, all your resistance might just be keeping you away from what really matters. The great turning point happens when you stop fighting just to survive and start resisting for something that truly matters. How many times have you believed that stopping is a sign of weakness? It's as if society has put it in your mind that resting or changing course is cowardice. After 35 years, this thought intensifies because you have accumulated so much effort and sacrifice that taking a pause feels like betraying your own history. Here lies the trap. The discipline that should build your life can, without you realizing it, turn into self-sabotage. Napoleon Hill said that persistence is to the human character what carbon is to steel. When the ratio is wrong, the metal cracks. The same happens with you. Persistence without balance does not strengthen but corrodes. After 35 years, the body gives clear signs: constant fatigue, reduced productivity, irritability, memory lapses. Many ignore these signs, convince themselves it is just lack of discipline and keep pushing, while science shows otherwise. Studies on burnout reveal that those who accumulate excessive stress and work at this age have double the chances of developing depression or cardiovascular problems. And here I want to ask you directly, what is the point of achieving all your dreams if when you get there, you do not have the health to enjoy them? Have you ever ignored your family and sacrificed important moments for something you are not even sure will be worth it? Could it be that what you call willpower is actually the fear of stopping and facing the emptiness within you? Napoleon Hill argued that true discipline is not about continuing at any cost, but about continuing wisely and with purpose. There is a difference between giving up out of laziness and adjusting your path with wisdom and insight. You may believe you are showing strength, but in reality you might just be silently sabotaging yourself. Discipline only has value when it serves a meaningful life, otherwise it becomes an invisible prison holding you captive. That is why it is crucial to ask yourself, am I persisting because it truly matters to me, or because I fear being seen as weak if I stop? This reflection separates those who slowly destroy themselves from those who find balance and live fully and harmoniously. Persistence is essential, but not when it harms your mental, physical, and emotional health. True strength lies in recognizing when discipline has shifted from a tool into an enemy and a chain. Perhaps this is the hardest decision of all. It is not quitting, it is choosing to live. After 35, the criticism of others weighs even more, as if every negative comment questions not just what you do, but who you are. Many continue down paths they do not want, not because they believe in them, but because they want to prove something to someone else. Perhaps to a boss who never recognized their effort, to parents who always demanded more, or to friends who constantly compare achievements. Think about it. How many decisions in your life are truly yours, and how many were born simply from the need to prove your worth to others? It is natural that after 35, the fear of making mistakes intensifies, as you feel you have less time to start over. Thus, every criticism sounds like a final judgment, but if you live to please, you will never live to create. Science shows that people who base their decisions on external approval have higher levels of stress, anxiety, and life dissatisfaction. No matter how many compliments they receive, they never feel truly fulfilled, as if all effort is lost within them. Napoleon Hill experienced the same. At the start of his career, he was rejected multiple times by publishers who did not believe in his ideas. They told him his ideas were too utopian and that no one would ever be interested in reading or following them. Imagine if he had accepted these critiques as absolute truth. The book, Think and Grow Rich, would never have existed. He realized that criticism only has the weight you give it. Each rejection was a sign that he had not yet found the right audience. Now think about your own life. How many times did you not start a project because someone said it was not the right moment? How many times did you shelve a dream because someone laughed at your idea or convinced you that you could not succeed? And how many times did you persist in something you did not want, just to avoid hearing again that you were wrong? Have you noticed that this cycle never ends? The approval you chase so desperately will never be enough, because there will always be another criticism pulling you back. That is why the real breakthrough is not to eliminate criticism, but to learn how to filter it. Ask yourself, does this criticism come from someone who has truly lived what I want to live? Or does it come from someone who never took risks? If the answer is the latter, why give it so much weight? The truth is, many try to dim the light of others because they fear their own shadow. And if you allow it, you will spend your entire life trying to fit within limits that are not yours. You need to understand that pushing yourself only to prove something to someone is like running on a treadmill. You expend energy but go nowhere. The only voice that should truly guide your decisions is your own. Constructive criticism can be used, but destructive criticism must be ignored. Ignored with the same firmness that you ignore a whisper in the middle of a concert, because in the end, life will not judge you by what others thought of you, but by what you dared to accomplish. Many people believe that persisting in a plan just because they have already invested too much time and energy is a sign of courage. But in reality, this is one of the biggest mistakes one can make after 35 years of age. This mindset is the result of the so-called sunk cost fallacy, which makes us believe that abandoning a path means wasting everything we have done so far. But isn't insisting on something that clearly doesn't work the real waste? How many times have you stayed in an unsatisfying job just because you spent years building that career? How many times have you remained in a relationship that no longer made sense just because you had invested so much in it? Now think of yourself. How many times have you clung to a plan just because you didn't want to admit it was time to change? Perhaps you keep insisting on a business that no longer returns, habits that no longer serve you, or a routine that does not make sense for what you truly want to experience. It is hard to admit, but there is no merit in breaking yourself out of pride. True wisdom lies in knowing when to adjust the sail so that the boat can keep moving. So if you feel that you are pushing yourself too hard without seeing results, perhaps it is not necessary to continue suffering on the same path. Maybe it is time to adapt, adjust the course, and find a smarter way to move forward. Life does not reward the stubborn who bang their heads against the same wall, but those who have the courage to recognize when it is time to turn the key and pass through a new door. Science proves the weight of this factor. Research shows that people with high self-confidence can earn up to 33% more than those who live in doubt, because they take more risks, accept new challenges, and do not wait for perfect conditions to act. Those who doubt themselves spend more time trapped by the fear of failure than seizing opportunities. This explains why so many extremely talented people remain in small roles, while others with less skill advance, simply because they believe they deserve more. Self-confidence is not born overnight, but it can be built and strengthened step by step until it becomes the foundation of your life. It begins with small victories, with the memory of everything you have already overcome. Think of the moments when you believed you could not manage, yet you succeeded. These moments are concrete proof that you are far more capable than you imagine. Each achievement, no matter how small, adds evidence that you can trust yourself. When self-confidence becomes solid, you stop pushing to fill a void and begin to act because you truly believe in what you are capable of creating. Persistence without self-confidence is like rowing without believing the boat will float. You continue, but every movement feels pointless. However, when faith in yourself enters the scene, the same effort turns into forward momentum. This is the point where your life starts to change. Resilience does not mean suffering in the same place. It means learning to rise again in a different way, with new perspective and mindset. Many people, especially after 35, confuse strength with stubbornness. They hit their heads, feel the pain, but repeat the same path. True resilience no longer demands brute force. It requires emotional intelligence, course adjustment, and a new re-entry plan. Direct question. When something goes wrong, like a failed deal, a dismissal, or a debt that explodes, do you return the same or different and wiser? The difference between exhaustion and evolution lies in this answer. The fear of money weighs heavily in such moments. You fail in a project and your mind races. What if I never recover? What if my family loses their standard? What if I have to start all over again? This panic leads to the most dangerous reaction, doubling down on the same mistake to prove you did not lose. This is where fortunes are lost. Resilience is not returning the blow. It is absorbing, analyzing, and redesigning. What exactly hurt? What was circumstance? What was decision? Without these three answers, any getting up is just repetition with a fancy name. The key is emotional recovery time. Truly resilient people do not suffer less. They recover faster because they turn frustration into information and lessons. Instead of asking, why me, they ask, what does this teach me? Instead of punishing themselves for 30 days, they perform an honest review in 30 minutes. Practical exercise. At the next setback, write 3 lines. The raw fact, the probable cause without blaming the world, and the first micro-action you can reverse. This habit reduces impulsive financial decisions and shortens the pain cycle. It seems small, but it accumulates and produces change. Thomas Edison became a symbol of this. The phrase attributed to him, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that do not work," is a guide to iteration. Each attempt changed a variable. He did not rise the same after falling. He rose recalibrated. Take this into your life and adjust your course. It is about redesigning the value proposition, adjusting the narrative, and testing another channel. If the business did not become profitable, the solution is not to put in more money, but to test price, offer, niche, or sales funnel adjustments. If a conversation at home turns into an argument, the solution is not to speak louder, but to change the time, tone, or request. Resilience is a method, not a martyrdom, and Napoleon Hill experienced this firsthand. While still young as a reporter, he accepted Andrew Carnegie's challenge to study for years the patterns of the great achievers. There was no fixed salary, no paved path. There were exposures, closed doors, delays, and restarts. The project extended far beyond the expected time, brought financial difficulties and criticism. What kept Hill standing was not just enduring for the sake of enduring, but adjusting the strategy at each obstacle. He changed the interview format, organized principles into laws, published first in courses, then in books, until he reached the works the world now knows. After each no, he did not return the same. He returned with a better question, a clearer chapter, a more tested thesis. The feeling here is not pity but courage, the silent courage to iterate while no one applauds. Now bring this into your daily life. Did you lose an important client? Within 24 hours, do a cold review of your sales cycle and create a 3-step recovery plan. Maintenance contact with your current base, a low-risk offer to bring cash quickly, and an acquisition experiment you have never tried. Were you laid off? Instead of applying to 100 jobs, write a transferable skills dossier and align it with 3 distinct career narratives, such as operational leadership, product or service development, and relationship expansion. Did you enter overdraft? Freeze any non-essential spending for 7 days and renegotiate deadlines. At the same time, replace earn more per month with complete a certain number of billable tasks per week. Action goals, not outcome goals. If it makes sense to you, I propose a short and precise challenge. For the next 7 days, apply the 3R rule to every setback. Breathe for 90 seconds to reduce reactivity. Record the fact, cause, micro-action in 3 lines. Restart with a different variable. It is simple, measurable, and delivers a very specific benefit, reducing emotional recovery time and the risk of impulsive financial decisions. On the 8th day, compare your sense of control to what it is today. If it is the same, ignore me. If it is better, you have just proven to yourself that resilience is not about enduring gracefully, but learning quickly. In the end, continuing to push yourself the same way is just another form of fear. Getting up differently is the decision that separates those who live, trying to fix yesterday, from those who finally begin to build tomorrow. And that decision lies within your next 24 hours. Continuing to push yourself without clarity is not strength, it is wear and tear. True transformation begins when you understand that persistence only makes sense when it serves a real purpose, aligned with what truly matters in your life. Everything else is just stubbornness disguised as discipline. If this message resonated with you, the next step is already here. Click the next video appearing on your screen, because in it, you will climb another step in your wisdom and become 1% better than you are now. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.